Started in my initiative. We have to do that here. Not there, and I got shut down into that. Really, my word into that. When I made reading that here. Where I can. Yeah. Community sense. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. There you go.
I am, what's my video, they stick to the plate line, and you just,
You still trying to.
I am. I am.
She comes on.
Hello.
Okay, it's 3 o'clock. I'm going to call the link board meeting for July to order. Is there anyone here or online that wishes to make a public comment? Is it just Anne online? Or
There's
is
a
she
few
the only
others,
one I
but-
can see?
Only one
Renee was on.
She doesn't have her camera on right now.
Anyone that wishes to make a public comment? Okay, moving on to the consent agenda. You, anything you want to say about the consent agenda? All right, has everyone had a chance to review? And if so, I would entertain a motion.
Madam Chair, I make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
All right, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Carries. Nick, CEO report.
First off, we have a new kind of a new partner, a new team member to our management team. I'd like to Ed to introduce this.
So, July 8th, Sergio. Sergio's been working with us for 7 years, as technician and a maintenance supervisor on the night shift. He took the position of my assistant vehicle maintenance manager on July 8th. Started that position and it's been highly helpful. Starting down the night path.
No more nights, huh?
Nope, more nights.
That's great.
I think I could hear his wife from across the river when he announced it.
Congratulations. Welcome. So July's been a pretty busy month so far. We've had a couple 4th of July shuttles. We did the 4th of July shuttle for Wenatchee. This year we did almost 700 rides, 697, which was a 67% increase in boardings over last year. I wish Mary Agnew was here because at Rockfest this year, we did 936 boardings for the 2024 Rockfest, which is pretty good. Wow. I was appointed to the Transportation Improvement Board. It's a statewide board that distributes grant funds statewide. If you're familiar with that, so I'll give you congratulations. Thank you. We did, some of you might have heard this or saw the paper, we were awarded a loan grant, $1.5 million for 5 additional buses. Wonderful. And Justin and whoever else helped write that grant, that's awesome, and they'll give us up to 37 battery electric vehicles when we receive them probably in 2026.
Should be 2020, late 2025, early 2026.
We're still, still waiting to hear about our congressionally direct spending. We're still on the hunt for that. We asked for 5.1 million. That's for additional charging. 20 chargers, 5 charging units, and 5 additional buses. We've been in talks with Rick Evans, and we're still right there. So hopefully good news comes out of that. We've had a lot of heat, as everyone has here. So what we've done is we extended the hours. We're open during the weeks at Columbia Station till 9 o'clock. We did that anyway here a couple months ago for our guests, for a place for them to have restroom facilities and get out of the heat and the weather. We're trying it out, and it's open till 9 o'clock for the weekdays. We extended our hours till 7 o'clock on weekends. Currently, security stays here just to help with the heat, excessive heat, to get kind of heat out. Places for them to get out. So we had a rodeo, South Sound Intercity Transit. So we had our maintenance team and some drivers go over to that. John Darian, Humberto Espinoza, and Anthony Romy took 3rd place in the maintenance portion. They've done really well. I think they placed 3rd and 2nd every place they've been. So I think it was
They
7.
haven't quite taken a first place yet, but we've done 3rd and 2nd everywhere they've been.
There's 7 teams, I want to say.
7 teams in this one.
And then we sent over Bobby Beeson, Roberto Torres, and Scott English, but for driving, unfortunately, they did not place, but they had a great time. So that's important. The marketing dashboard was put here on your for an update of marketing. If you have any questions? Please let us know on that one. Sam, could you bring up the work plan?
Yes.
So the work plan. So this month, we're supposed to have the July service change, which took place. Christina did a brief update last month about the changes were. The big one was Route 32, I believe, was in Leavenworth. The Highway 2 corridor study, we're supposed to be awarding that this month. It's actually, the bid is due next week. It's next week. Yep, so we'll be coming back and awarding that next month. We are actually 1 month ahead of our award for the bus barn, which is going to be tonight, not next month. So we're moving forward on that one. And then meeting with, we're supposed to have the final design for the park and ride for the Rock Island. Final design for the Rock Island Park and Ride this month. We're meeting with actually Mayor Agnew on Thursday. So I'm talking about that. It's pretty busy so far, so we pushed that back a little bit. I really want to give a shout out to Ed for all his work he's done on this bus barn. I believe he has saved us millions of dollars. The original bid, as you know, when we got back, or the original scope of work had a bunch of stuff in it we didn't need. He went through line by line and saved a ton of money off that. Looked at it very closely. Sam has worked closely with Eric Howe, getting out all the bid documents. We had a bid opening this week or last week? Last week, we had out of the 19 or so that showed up for the application pre-con meeting, we had eight bids, and I'm not gonna spoil it, but then we'll give you an update on that. And it'll also give you an update on the cafe where we are with that, but he's done a great job, we've got a great project, and gives us some opportunity to do some more things too. I think that's it.
Any questions for Nick? Okay, moving on, Hayden.
So for June, sales tax collections earned in April of 2024, we made $2.2 million. We're over the budgeted amount for the month by 9.9%, which is roughly $200,000. Year-to-date sales tax collections are $7.9 million, and the budgeted amount is $7.7 million. So we're over by $283,000. Last year's year-to-date sales tax collections were $6.5 million, and so we're over last year by 1.4, and this is predominantly due to the additional tenth that we're getting on sales tax. The budgeted year elapsed is 50%. We have spent almost $14 million, and sorry, the budget year elapsed is 50%, which would be like $14 million, and we've spent $13.1 million, which is $829,000 under budget. We have two large capital expenditures in June. One for the phase 1 bus garage for the Chelan County PUD of $383,000. And with an induct EV with a third in our Rock Island Park and Ride, which was chartered for $442,000. Any questions?
Thank you, Sam.
Okay, I tried to provide a lot of background information in case you wanted to dive into some of the procurement policy changes. So feel free to stop me if you have any questions on it, but I'll summarize kind of the highlights there. So we haven't come to you in over a year now for a policy update, and it's about time. There's a couple state, one federal working element of the policy that we'd like to redo. There's been an update with the one of the RCWs that requires us to have statewide apprenticeship program, and what that means for us is any capital project right now, starting July 1st, so the bus barn would be a good example. We have to do our darndest to get 15% of apprentices of all of the work that's done for, public works. And that's because it's a project over 2 million, and then 2 years later, that threshold goes down to 1.5. 2 years later, by 2028, it'll be 1 million. And then the next big item was some small works and public works changes. It doesn't affect much for us because of how we do our small works and public works projects. But when we use the small works roster, there's a lot of changes in there. One of them, that's a really good one, is just making sure that we pay within 30 days for including change orders, which is already a part of our policy. So we're complying there, but we did provide references to these RCWs. So when they update, we don't have to update each word. And then the 49 CFR Part 24, that's with federal funds, and it has to do with what sort of compensation we're gonna give if we displace people when we do a real property acquisition, which since I've been here, we haven't had to address, but it's referenced in the policy. And then the other one that's gonna really help us, so we don't have to go in and update the table every time there's a small works or public works change in the RCW, is just deleting 2 pages worth of how we can follow the small works roster process. And that's now in our procedures. Any questions on those 4 big chunks? So we're asking that you approve resolution 2024-15, incorporating RCW 39.04, updated requirements for small works and public works projects. And 49 CFR Part 24, updated requirements for real property acquisition, displacement, and relocation benefits.
Madam Chair, I would so move. Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Carries.
Thank you.
Stan, you're up again.
Oh, yep, all right. Switching papers. Okay, so this one might sound familiar. East Wenatchee, as we know, City of East Wenatchee is doing a few projects to update some of their streets and pedestrian access. This is another proposal for the board to consider. The city approached us for additional funds for 5th Street and 19th Street. The funds for this will go to cover 6 additional stops and shelters, pedestrian updates, intersection improvements, and sorry, I lost my spot. And this would be on 5th and 19th Street. So I wanted to call back to when we've already asked for helping fund similar projects with the city. We have the 5th Street and Kentucky Street project where we allocated 100,000 for some shelters and pedestrian updates. And then we have Highline at the Safeway stop. We had asked for 8,800, but it actually came in at 2,900 for the bid. So we're doing well there. And this would come out of our 500,000 allocated for shelter updates. And we're currently well under that threshold. So we are asking that you authorize Link Transit CEO to enter into an interlocal agreement with City of East Wenatchee by resolution 2024-16 to fund ADA compliant bus stops and pedestrian improvements in an amount not to exceed $7,700. Oh, sorry, $77,000.
I have a motion to have a second.
Second.
Any further discussion?
Madam Chair, I'd like it noted in the minutes that I'll recuse from any discussion or vote on this issue.
Thank you, Rob. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you, Sam.
Thank you.
Christina?
Presentation for here. Are you this one, Christina? Yeah.
Gotta keep you here a little longer. I mean, this is
Yeah.
fast.
Also make it quick.
There's no such thing when it comes to a meeting.
You still-
Get rid of this.
Okay, good to go.
All right, so wanted to give a bit of an update about work that we've started on our comprehensive bus stop plan effort. So we'll talk today just kind of about the tasks that we're doing and kind of the overall flow of the work as part of this. So there's kind of four big pieces that we're tackling. So first is ADA accessibility. That's kind of a huge, really important piece of this work, making sure that our bus stops are ADA compliant. Looking at bus stop guidelines, so sort of what types of amenities do we want, what do they look like, where do they go? Bus spacing optimization, bus stop spacing optimization, essentially are bus stops too close together, are they too far apart, kind of looking at what's out there and what we can improve. And then really coming up with a prioritized implementation plan for where amenities go and also improving our bus stops in terms of ADA accessibility. We are doing all this work in-house, and the current timeline has us delivering a final report approximately May of next year. So we have a lot to do, but excited to be moving with it. So a big piece of this that we're currently in process on is inventorying all of our bus stops, specifically related to ADA accessibility. There's very specific requirements around, measurements, how big the landing pad is, how high the sign is, a whole variety of things. So we had some information gathered, but kind of not the whole array of things. So Alyssa, our mobility coordinator, who I believe it was last month's meeting that she gave an update about TripLink. She's been out working really hard doing a lot of assessments of our bus stops. So we'll use all that information to then come up with a prioritized improvement plan to bring more of our bus stops kind of into compliance where they are not currently in compliance. That's a big effort. The bus stop spacing analysis, there's a few trade-offs for us to consider in terms of bus stop spacing. So when stops are close together, it means people don't have to walk as far. There is some benefit to that, but then at the same time, it makes for service that isn't quite as reliable. So we want to kind of strike the right balance of stops being kind of just far enough apart where they're accessible, where service can run more on time, and where it's still convenient for people. So we're gonna be looking at our bus stops in terms of how they're spaced currently, also what's nearby, are they close to some sort of activity generator? Where are they in relation to an intersection? What else is happening? Are they in the right spot? Can we maybe make some adjustments that would make them easier to access? Recommendations where appropriate for bus stop spacing. Depending on how this analysis works out and sort of where the recommendations land and how impactful we think they'll be, we may do a bit of a public outreach analysis or engagement effort, I guess, around this. If we're gonna be removing stops, we wanna make sure that the public has a chance to weigh in, but we'll see how the analysis comes out on this. Looking at bus stop guidelines, so really like what do our shelters look like, seating, what types of amenities go with what types of bus stops. So we'll be kind of better enumerating this in the plan. And part of this also, we're looking at doing a community art bus stop program. This is something that some agencies around the country have done. The goal really would be to make some more attractive bus stops and also kind of involve the community in the transit system a little more closely. This can vary greatly in terms of complexity, in terms of cost. So obviously we want to come up with some recommendations that make sense, are reasonable for us locally. So we're starting off with a peer analysis, really understanding kind of what other agencies have done, some of the lessons learned, and kind of make sure we're off and running kind of from a good place. Our thought is to have sort of a flagship bus stop in each of our communities, and we'd slowly but surely over time kind of work with different communities to implement something that makes sense and that there's some buy-in around. When I was doing some research for this presentation, I came across these bus stops in Athens, Georgia that I thought were very fun. Not saying we're gonna do this, but they brought me a little bit of joy and I thought I would share them with you all today. So this project, my understanding is that it was in coordination with the university and sort of their local arts council. They made sort of an art walk out of it. So there's a lot of different approaches that agencies have taken. We're gonna find the right one for us, of course. But there's some pretty cool examples that are out there that I think we can bring locally and kind of tailor accordingly and make sure that they're reasonable and kind of feasible for our local context. And then all of the work in those tasks I kind of just talked about, we'll bring together into a big prioritization. So some of the work will be dividing bus stops into tiers. We'll be looking at boardings, are there transfers that happened at that stop? What's nearby? Is there new development happening? What types of land use and populations live around the bus stop? And dividing bus stops into categories and then kind of identifying what types of amenities go at each type of stop. We'll be, of course, incorporating the ADA piece of that and coming up with a big list of, how we're gonna get all the work done, where are amenity improvements gonna go, and when and where are the accessibility improvements gonna happen as well. So in terms of the planning work, over the next few months, we're gonna finish the inventory, other information gathering, make sure we have all the data we need. We're moving forward on the spacing, the art program and accessibility prioritization tasks. We'll then go into the big prioritization list work, come up with a draft plan. We're targeting kind of end of the year and into January. For that, we're looking at probably another update to the board in February or so of next year. We'll do additional outreach as appropriate, sort of depending where the recommendations end up. And then incorporate that into the final plan, which should be finished in May of 2025.
Questions?
I assume you're also meeting with each of the municipalities on what their future growth plans are for the next 3 to 5 years or so.
Yes, so I've actually started doing kind of every 6 month or so meetings with all of the jurisdictions, just to make sure we're like really up to date on what's happening in Chelan. Yeah, there's a lot.
Yeah.
Everywhere, actually, there's a lot.
So Christine, is this all the bus stops that we're gonna look at, or is it gonna be the ones that are more locally centralized in the various communities?
We're looking at all of them.
All of it?
Yeah.
Wow.
And then would this just be improvements to existing, or are you gonna look at if there are bus stops that need to be added?
If we're looking at adding bus stops, we'll like put them into the list and
It'll be, yeah, put in the.
yeah, it'll be kind of after this planning work is done, it'll be sort of an ongoing iterative, like, making sure that everything is accessible or there's a plan to make it accessible.
Yeah, they've done a great job putting this plan out, and it's something that we want to do internally. But also there was another avenue or a legal issue that we were dealing with also. Karen explained kind of
Yeah, and
background.
for those of you who were on the board last year, you may recall Richard brought this up. There has been a couple of cases on the East Coast, one in Louisiana, which I guess isn't on the East Coast, but close enough. And one in New York, I think rural New York, about ADA accessibility of bus stops. And Richard and I talked about it and he was concerned that this may come visit us at some point. Because the Americans with Disabilities Act was passed before Link Transit was created. So technically, Link Transit for every bus stop that was ever created should have been ADA compliant based on that timing. You don't fall into the grandfather exception that gave, I think, 10 years to come up to compliance. The ADA passed in 1992, so we're beyond that 10 years anyway. And so to get ahead of any potential lawsuit that may be filed, or trying to mitigate any potential damage that could come from a lawsuit, it's coming up with this plan to bring the organization into compliance with accessibility issues. The consent decrees that were issued in those court cases basically required the agencies to adopt plans like this and come into compliance. So you're kind of voluntarily already doing that work, and I think that's gonna put you in a really good spot legally if we do get any sniff of litigation.
There's no timeline to actually get all the bus stops up to date, as long as we, correct me if I'm wrong here, but as long as we show that we have a path to address all the stops at a future date, we should be in compliance.
Well, yes, but there's
Like,
no,
yes.
we're not under any court order, right? I mean, your requirement right now as a transit agency, when you develop a bus stop is to have it be ADA compliant for accessibility issues, right? So you are technically out of compliance for some of your stops. That's why doing the inventory is really, really important as the first step in the plan to determine what needs to be done to come into compliance. Yes, you don't have a time frame that a court is imposing upon you to come into compliance. This work is being done kind of to avoid that, right? To avoid potential litigation, or if you get into litigation, we could resolve it hopefully fairly quickly with an agreed consent decree that basically implements your plan.
So we're basically demonstrating good faith.
Yeah,
We're moving forward.
Exactly.
So like a new bus stop needs to be 8 feet deep and a minimum 5 feet wide. We make all ours, we try to get them 11 feet wide, so we never want to put a shelter on it, it's already in place for shelter. But that's, 8 feet deep, that's when we curve back, so most sidewalks are around 5 feet, so it's 3 more feet additional feet we got to put in, so. It's a big space, and all the bus stops in East Wenatchee, they all meet ADA, so everything we're doing now meets that ADA requirement.
Thank you, Christina. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
And
Bus garage.
Okay, the River Road. Okay. So. I've been sponsored around Cal for a little while. We opened bids last Wednesday on the 10th. We had 8 responsive bidders. Ranging from top end number of 15.547 million to a bottom number of 12.676 million. Pretty good range. That lower number was Bremer Rotor Construction. And to give you a little more background impact on budget for this, Nick was alluding to earlier. I had come to you and said we got engineers cost estimates for 18 million. We're way down, which is pretty awesome. You had given us a budget for this year of 17 million for this. With Bremer Rotor, a 5% contingency on them. Our design and bid management, and then our oh Lord, internal expenses, which was Chelan PUD, city permits, switch gear, construction management, and then just miscellaneous gear for inside the facility. We're estimating that this should come in around 15.418 million. I think it'll probably be less than our contingency being at 633,000, probably quite a bit. I'm hoping it's gonna be less than that, without a doubt. So we're actually here, asking, the board to authorize Link Transit staff to award the construction of the bus garage to Rimmer and Rotor Construction Inc. The lowest responsive and responsible bidder in the amount not to exceed $13,310,573, which includes a bid amount of $12,676,736 and a 5% contingency.
So moved. Second.
any further discussion?
So I'm curious, and I mean, there was a big disparity between the low bid and the high bid. And I know that you probably penciled out all the costs on this thing. Is their bid in the ballpark?
Yeah, it's actually about $108,000 more than I thought it would be.
Oh, okay,
From what I kind of hammered out by myself.
okay.
So I was pretty thrilled to see it come work in.
Any other questions, comments? All right, all in favor?
Aye. Thank you.
Good job. Exciting.
Roll. So there's a little information on that. Hope to start this next month. I think I have a little more information to give on some other things in the department, yes. So a little more information on that. We're hoping to start as early as August 1st, to the second, third week of August, to actually break ground out there. And then we pushed the completion date on this slightly, to May 15th, to be able to charge our 9 buses that are gonna come here in, March, end of March. We pushed it about, 6 weeks. Had a lot of pushback from the contractors saying you're just too aggressive. And we thought, well, to get more people interested, because there were some that were just like, yeah, we're not even gonna be interested. We pushed it another 6 weeks and we gave them the leeway of, as long as I can pull 9 buses in there and charge. I may not have office space finished, there might not be all the lights in it, but as long as I can do that by March, we're good. So, with the completion, I believe we have it in there in July, that it's finished of next year. Which is still pretty aggressive for a building of this size and the amount of electrical infrastructure that's going in it. I think the other piece of this that I have is the cafe. So, we came to you last month and asked for, the authorization to go into getting some people in this cafe down here. And we were in the process, or they were in the process of getting their, business permit. So we had the city come down and they came in, they looked at our facility in the cafe and said, you need to put in level 2 hoods over a dishwasher, commercial dishwasher that's been down there for 21 years. And the new oven, because we replaced the 16-year-old or better oven that was down there, is actually more than that, it was purchased in, I think, 1998. And it was purchased used then for $1,600, so we got rid of that bought it. We have to put a level 2 hood over that in order to just use it and even bake bread. They said if you want to cook meat, you have to put a level 1 hood in. So we did a lot of research on figuring out what we have to be able to do that. And that would be down to a level 2 hood at this point, no being able to cook meat in the building. Is what I think that comes to the conclusion that probably makes financial sense to a point. I don't even know if that's really gonna work. So we're kind of on hold. It's not the best scenario that I could possibly think of, but we're doing our best to figure out how we're going to be able to accommodate a cafe in there with those hoods. Anybody has any ideas? Yours on it, yeah.
We need to revisit the, we need to take action on the contract management award for the bus garage.
That's this young lady.
Oh, well, your name.
It's wrong on it. Oh, but yeah, the best management, she was gonna have that.
Okay. Any questions about the cafe before?
Sorry.
Go ahead, Sam.
So RH2 has a contract, we have a contract with them for the design and the bid management portion. And this portion is still covered under our 2022 RFQ or the 2023? 2023 RFQ for the design of the whole facility redesign, which we pared down to the bus garage project. So we're asking for authorization for Link Transit's CEO to enter into an agreement with RH2 for construction management of the bus garage project in an amount not to exceed $500,000. And any questions on that portion?
This is included in the numbers I just gave you.
Yeah, would entertain a motion.
So
A motion and a second. Second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
I,
Thanks.
You too, Diane. Gabby?
Okay. All right. Thank you. So now, scorecards for June. We are up over 100,000 ridership. It began in June. We were at 112,389. It's very exciting. So average boardings Monday through Friday, so we're down a little bit April to May, but we did have in June 2 less weekdays of service. So our average boardings in June midweek or Monday through Friday was 3,832. So we figured throwing another couple days. Class 1 or higher preventable collisions and accidents, again, 0 for the month of June. Feels great and also strange to see a graph that doesn't have any bars on it. So that is 0, not that we forgot to put it in there. Combined fixed route and paratransit service complaints, we came down 1 this month to 8. So everything is coming in below our goal lines, which is fantastic, or way above them in the areas they need to be. Combined fixed route paratransit rideshare cost per hour, still way below the 170 and 65 cents cost per hour at 147.04. So that is also great in what we need to be doing. It's a little bit higher than last year, or last month. And we had the Shafton shuttle operating 2 people a day, 7 days a week, since the community of Shafton was losing their connection with the bridge. So that is something that played a role in that slight increase because the service hours aren't actually covered. So once that gets done, you'll probably see a drop in the delivery. But still just a $4, but I still want to know maybe where it was coming from. Combined fixed route paratransit rideshare cost per boarding. It's still down below the $25.35 an hour. And stay right in line with where we were even last year with way more boardings this year. So that's very exciting to see. Boardings by route. The route 2 is still the most popular, the 7, and then the 18, 12, and 11. So those are all still, and there hasn't been any major shifts in anything, just besides some lower ridership, because we lost those 2 days this month or last month. And then intercity boardings, the Route 22 saw a little bit of a dip. I would anticipate that had some to do with construction and Shaston. But the 21 seems to be just about the only route, even with construction, that came up in June with higher ridership. And still heading to Chelan in the summer.
You know.
Any questions? Is doing the do. Great.
Thanks, Ken.
Thank you.
Well, I got one more. So on the 24th and 25th, the Water State Transportation Commission will be in Chelan. And Link is providing a tour of the area. And so we're using a battery electric vehicle. We made sure that would make it to and from. Found out. So we'll get everybody back to the Chelan City Council meeting, and then from there, we're crossing our fingers and moving back to the block. So
Our math is good.
so it should be a good group. Aaron's gonna
There
be
would
part
be
of it.
no deviating from the route then.
So probably
No
won't
longer
be-
layover.
On time, no deviations.
Yeah, so it'll be, I think, a good program. It'll be nice to have them over here. Show them some really the Chelan area. Chelan
We've got a
Falls.
fire forum and everything.
Yeah.
You're really experienced.
Yeah, this, these.
We do.
Okay, anything else before we adjourn?
Wow, look at this time.
All right,
Sure you don't want to talk about something else?
we will adjourn.
That'd be a record. Did we talk about the podium entry downstairs? I thought Kevin about it. Okay, good.
No,
Okay, so we missed that. I don't know.
what do you mean we?
So as we talked about, the Chelan Douglas Health District, right, health, yeah. Coordinated free, open their doors Monday, right? Last Monday?
Yeah.
July Tuesday, and they've had people, you know, we had a press release, we've had people come up to their window, they've been busy on the phones, actual people using the services now. And they're very happy, the folks that are downstairs are very happy, it's been a great turnout, we have not seen any influx of people coming in out of the ordinary, but actually utilizing the services, so it's gonna be a great partnership, and we're still excited to have them. Catholic Charities is not in there yet, but they'll be there soon. once everybody gets here, we're gonna have meetings with our staff at Columbia Station so that everybody has phone numbers. So if we need somebody to call up and say, hey, need some help upstairs or on bus, they'll be able to reach out to me, and be able to go upstairs and help them. So I think it's a great partnership. It's working out well. It's kind of what it's intended for. So I applaud Kevin for putting this together. It's been a great project and one of those partnerships that I think will continue in the future.
It's great. Thanks. Thank you for offering the space.
Yeah. I think it's worked. I think they're real happy down there. When we talk to them, they're all smiles and they go, you got any business yet? They go, yeah, we've got deeper from the window. So that's good.
Yeah, I'd encourage any board member on your way out, slide in there and say hi to them, or so take it. So they're, I caught them on the way in and they're all smiles. They're very busy and it makes the day go by like that. So
It's good. Thanks.
thank you.
Right, thank you, everybody.
You stay cool.